together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us. And remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Sober Sunday. Good morning. I'm Michelle. Michelle also says it is Sober Sunday. I don't usually wear this shirt. It looks good on me and everything, but it's got this little... It's got its own mouth here. Hey, what am I Batman shit? Let's see what we get. Problem is everything's backwards and my brain doesn't work that way. No, it's not working. Maybe if I did this. Not even in the right place. Here we go. You can't see it though. All right. Let's see if I do it just right. You can't tell. There we go. You can tell. Now you're just going to be staring at this part the whole time. Because aren't we alcoholics really good at picking out what's wrong? My brain does it all the time. Sometimes I wish my brain would just shut the fuck up so I could enjoy what was going on. Yeah. Probably doesn't happen to everybody, but that happens to me pretty much everywhere I go. It starts to look for things, man. And I have to kind of change that around. You know, not everything needs to be dissected, and my brain seems to think so. And what is that? Well, it's hyper attention is what it is. Right? It's from things in my past. It's a survival skill so that I don't get hurt or abused again. Yeah, that's what that is. And part of there's nothing really wrong with it. Depends on what you do with it, like anything else, I think. Right? So, all right. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for Dion's Daily Funnies. So I would have been a little bit earlier, but I got invited to a meeting, and then I was going to meet with a new sponsee, but something came up. So something more important came up. It's your recovery, man. I'm not going to give them a hard time. That, and I think this person's probably a little bit more shy, so I'm going to give them time. It's all right. I'm not offended by it. That's for sure. Yeah. Who knows what came up? Maybe he needs to go to the emergency room or something, right? Yeah, I would consider that a priority too. We can't assume these things. I don't know. I don't know well enough yet to say what's going on. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get to Dion's Daily Funnies. There was one, it was covered up. It said, "Are you 18?" So we're going to read that one first. I haven't read it yet, but clearly it is an adult joke. The sign outside the drug rehab facility was very fitting. "Stay off the grass." Okay, that was not an adult joke. I don't know why that was covered. It wasn't even really funny. Why shouldn't you let somebody go who just got out of rehab go skiing? Because it's a slippery slope. So this one's a little bit longer. So I'm 12 years old and got a hip. I'm 12 years. So I'm going to go with 2. I'm 52 years old and got a hip replacement surgery a week ago. Wife today. Damn it. Didn't the doctor tell you not to push it during rehab? I told her you're going to do too much yesterday. Look how swollen your leg is. Actually, he told to listen to my body. I continued in a different voice. How you doing, leg? Swell. Okay, that was just, man, I got to do better with these. Okay, what did Frodo go to rehab for? I'm curious about this. He was a habitual. He was a habitual smoker. All right. A group of stupid people were in rehab. The doctors want to see if they made any progress and decided that the person who passes the test will be let out. The test was to put them all in an empty room with no windows or visible exit. I'll read more. That's way too long. They drew an obviously fake door on the wall and watched for the results. To their surprise, everyone was jumping and kicking and fighting and fake drawing except for one. The one person was laughing at the others, and then the doctor concluded the test. They asked him why he was laughing at the others. They said they didn't have the keys. Do people not know how to tell jokes in recovery? A Russian walks into an alcohol rehab facility. Wait, what? What did the oral sex addict go? Where did the oral sex addict go as soon as he got out of rehab? The liquor store. All right, those are done. Here, we'll even give another little laugh here. I pressed the button 3 times. All right, I'm done. we're done with that. Horrible. We're going to go back to dad jokes because clearly people in recovery do not know how to tell jokes. Right. I was going to go to Procrastinators Anonymous, but I just couldn't find the time. You know, they invited me to Paranoids Anonymous, but they wouldn't tell me where the meeting was. Yeah. These are much better. All right. Had enough of my shenanigans. Am I creating a resentment? No? All right, let's do some more. We're here to talk about, is it resentment or is it trauma? Is it a resentment or is it trauma? Or is it both? Could be both. Yeah. So we're going to kind of go through these things. And, you know, while I was going through my PTSD, you like the liquor store one? Michelle, you're funny. All right. So I deal with CPTSD. And at one point, people in the program were telling me that what I was going through was a resentment, but it was not a resentment. I literally could not help it. And now, there's a difference between these two. Now, what I'm not saying is this. Do not deem it as trauma and not work on it as a resentment. If it's trauma, there's a resentment there, and that needs to be taken care of in the 4th and 5th step. Absolutely, it does. Okay. Trauma means that we're going to need to take extra steps. And we do talk about it in the big book on page 164. We realize we know only a little. God will disclose more to you and to us. Okay. In the book, several times it says to seek outside help if needed. The responsibility statement. I'm responsible when anyone, anywhere reaches out for help. I want the hand of AA to be there. Do you know that includes you? Yeah, it most definitely includes you. But, you know, it's not for us, right? I used to write things down on my 4-step and I called them resentments, but some of them were actually wounds. They were wounds. And I was trying to put a Band-Aid on something that needed a tourniquet. Yeah. So I can utilize my experience here. Okay. When I did the 4th and 5th step, it removed a lot of my angst. It did. A lot of it. I did feel the freedom. I did feel the closeness to my higher power. But what this did is it cleared the ground for those things that I had pushed underground or really, really deep to start to fester and bubble up. Getting down to a cause and condition with, say, the man that raised me was a good start in this case. There are a lot of people on that list where causes and conditions was enough. But if you've ever had somebody in your life that is intentionally trying to physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually hurt you, and they go out of their way, this is going to cause trauma in your life. Now, we alcoholics also cause trauma in other people's lives. We are bad enough that we can cause other people to have trauma later on in their lives. Our children is a good example of that. See, my parents refused to sit down and take accountability for what happened. Okay. And that is their choice. I'm not going to sit here and blame them. May they, I don't know why, so I can't, the furthest I can go with that is forgiveness by myself. With me and God, that's as far as I can go, is forgiveness. But every now and again, something happens and I feel like I'm 13 years old again, being beat by a belt. Sometimes something will happen and I will be 15 again on pass, finding out that somebody in my family, my own family, was spreading more rumors about me and that everybody believed it. That is part of those are my nightmares right there. That is nightmares. All right. Every night I have those. I had it last night. Some are bigger than others. A lot of it I've just learned to ignore. Right. And they haven't been as vivid lately. So I wouldn't even count them as nightmares as much as inconvenient dreams lately because I've gotten used to it. Now, my dreams can get very, very violent, like extremely violent. So violent that I'm embarrassed to tell people what it's like. I am. I'm a little embarrassed by that. Right? Because I don't want you to think that I can be so angry that I could kill someone. So I don't want to be that person, right? You don't want to be that person. Now, a resentment, I have some control and power over once I recognize it. When I have a flashback, I have no power. I have no control. It's like being on your fourth or fifth drink, pounding on the bar, going, "Where? How the fuck did I get here?" That's the closest comparison to alcoholism that I could give you. It's torture. It's like an out of body experience where you're around somebody and you want to tell them you love them, but it comes out, "Get the fuck away from me." And you're like, I did not say that. It wasn't me. It was the 14-year-old me who was currently being beat with a belt or is being ostracized from their community once again, even though that didn't happen. I did some pretty bad things. Don't get me wrong. Right? And I will take responsibility for those, but I'm not going to take responsibility for things that I did not do. I'm not going to do that. Right? So trauma is something much deeper. And as far as trauma goes, I am not an expert. I'm only an expert in the fact that I have my own trauma. Right? I do have some education on it. I've been working on it now for 9 years, so I'm getting there. Right? I'm really good at figuring out causes and conditions, what's really going on, but that was a practice skill. I needed therapy. All therapy doesn't work. Okay, then therapy doesn't work. If you decide therapy doesn't work, you know what happens? Therapy doesn't work. All right. So we got to get down to these things. Okay. And you got a couple options. Okay. If you're a little bit younger, you can go to therapy and start to face them now. Or you can do what I did. You can ignore them for most of your life. And one day you can have an anxiety attack in the grocery store where they have to track down your partner because you don't know where you are, because you have lost all sense. you're going to hear words like 72-hour hold. Yeah. You're going to hear words like you need to be on meds. You're this, you're that. Right? Then everybody starts to diagnose you. Yeah. People can be cruel. Right? So you can't treat trauma like a character defect. Trauma is not a character defect. Trauma is something that was done to you. Okay. And what happens is you feel like you are reliving the moment. It is often that I hear people speak in meetings, I can hear the trauma coming through. So what is 4 and 5? Well, 4 and 5 are a great start. Okay. There are going to be things, there might be things that don't even pop up. It wasn't until 4 months ago that I figured something out. Memory just, it came flooding back. I thought that I'd forgotten all about it because I had ignored it for so long. And it came back with a fucking vengeance, man. But it explained a lot of things happening in my life. You know, it explained, and so what did I need to do? Well, I kind of think it came up at that point because I don't know that I would have had the courage to face it a year ago, 7, 8 months ago. I don't know. So why did it happen then? Because God knew that at that point I would be able to handle it. And why does he want me to face it? Because he wants me to be happy, joyous, and free. And he wants me to get through that so that I can help other people. See, right now, I'm talking with other people that have kind of gone through it also, but they're on the other side with the solution. Right. And I want to be the person on the other side with the solution, but that's going to take some time, effort, some open-mindedness, some willingness. Something I've kind of noticed in meetings, we've kind of lost our patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. Got to be a little bit more patient in these meetings with people and stuff. And I think I'm saying that more for me. All right. So a resentment is recycled anger, right? So it's something I keep alive by replaying it. I do that. That's the part that I do, right? We call this letting somebody live rent free in your head. That's what we call that. Where you could do something, right? Now, this week something happened and it triggered a trauma of mine, right? And I had to do extra stuff all week. Okay. By Friday night, that happened on Tuesday, and it took me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get through it. It took me 3 days. Even this morning, I got up. I'm like, I'm gonna write them a text. See, that happened every single morning, right? But on Tuesday, it was a couple hours thinking about it. Wednesday, it was an hour. Thursday, see, this morning it was like 2 minutes. What is that? Well, it's progress. In order to have progress, I need to attach a little bit of time to it. I'm not going to make it doesn't always happen like this. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days. And I have to think about it because I'm not just thinking about the problem. I got to think about what I'm going to learn from it too. Okay. And I learned a few things. If you see a friend and they are angry, go say something to them. Don't wait 2-3 weeks. That's what I learned. That was my mistake. Yeah. And I did listen to what they had to say to me. I'm going to make some changes. I didn't realize I could make those changes. I wish it wouldn't have come across as anger. I wish it had been more of a suggestion, but I did hear it. I hear it. Absolutely. Right. It's hard to do. I'm still angry about it, but who am I really angry at? I'll tell you who I'm angry at. Me, for allowing it to happen. Yeah, that's what I'm actually upset with. So you can't treat trauma like a character defect. Okay. So it's ego driven and usually connected to expectations. Okay, my resentments tend to be expectations. And you can, like I said, you can have both of these. Okay. Usually, usually trauma doesn't sit alone. I'll put it that way. But resentment can. Not all resentment turns into trauma. So resentment is you playing it. Oh, that person, they stole $20 from me. And I play it. They know I'm going through this and this and that. Maybe they sold 2,000 from me. Let's just make it a bigger number so it hurts more. Because you're probably like $20. I don't care about $20. Bullshit, you aren't. Yes, you are. So, right. So you let that fester in your head and fester and fester and fester. Oh, when I see him, you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to demand my money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Okay, that is turning into a resentment. They said they were going to pay me back. They didn't pay me back. Okay, well, you're going to learn something in life, just so you know. When you let somebody borrow money, if you're expecting it back, good luck on that one. Okay. Unless you find an alcoholic who's doing their ninth step and wants to get rid of their financial amends. That'll happen. And that's not true of everybody. It's just the expectation. What was the expectation? That they were going to pay you back. That is it. But isn't that a reasonable expectation? Yes, it is a reasonable expectation that they pay you back. Your anger attached to it is not reasonable. That's what we're saying here. That's not reasonable. Why is it not reasonable? Because we do this, okay? I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? Because we don't say this. AA is a selfish program. It just, which selfish are you going to choose? Are you going to be selfish about helping people, or are you going to be selfish about hurting people? Those are our choices, right? Well, this includes you. Do you give yourself unconditional love like you do to other people? The answer is no. The best we can do is do the best that we can each day on that. You will never, I don't think there will come a day when Dion doesn't make his life a little bit tougher than it needs to. Like I said in the beginning, sometimes I wish my head would just shut the fuck up and quit looking for stuff so I can enjoy the moment. Morning, Angel. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, resentments we have been talking about are ego driven and they're connected to expectations. Okay. What about trauma? Well, trauma isn't about holding a grudge. It's about what your body and brain still remember. It's the pain that didn't have a witness. Oh, yeah. It's the pain that didn't have a man. That's a line. Right? Because see, this week when that happened, the person that was accusing me of stuff was being very, very rude to me. But when anybody else was around, oh, the nicey nice came on. It was the one thing that drove me nuts. It's like, if you're going to be yourself, be yourself. See, can I get a witness? Yeah. Huh. Where's the witness, Dion? Well, I've got bruises all over my butt. Yeah, he fell off the slide. This happened. Ran into a door. These types of things, these excuses. Actually, not one person in the world ever protected me. And I did tell my teachers, they did nothing about it. No. What were they going to do? We're talking early 80s. Okay? When teachers still had paddle boards. See, we don't talk, everybody talk about how Gen X was great. No, it was kind of violent. It was kind of violent. That's why we're tough, but we don't really go for violence. We're more of Gen X is more of a hey, you're doing what you're doing, I'm doing what I'm doing. Peace, love, and happiness, man. We're going to give you the thumbs up, which doesn't mean fuck you. It means we're cool. That's what that means. If you take it as fuck you, then man, you probably got resentments. All right. So trauma didn't have a witness. Right? Because then you go around and get other people to believe you, and then what starts to happen? Then sides happen, then the division happens, and then the finger pointing starts. See, it becomes, and then the gaslighting comes along with it. It's abuse through and through, right? And somebody did come after you, and they did have the intention to hurt you. It did happen. That's the hard part. It's the hard part. And when you live in trauma, right? When I was living in trauma, I was 13 years old the whole time, emotionally. Yeah. You know, even to this day, the man that raised me, I hate him. I hate him. I am doing everything that I can to forgive this man. Right? When Father's Day comes around, man, it's a hard time for me. When people celebrate Son's Day, because see, I've never been a part of that. So it makes me feel separated from other people. That hurts. I didn't have a father. I didn't have a man in this life that loved me. Thank God for God. You know, nobody taught me how to do all this stuff. I had to figure it out all on my own. I fixed my bicycle on my own. I fixed everything on my own. I just kind of figured it out. You know, and we didn't have YouTube and instructions then. You had to be pretty inventive. That's why most of us Gen Xers know how to MacGyver stuff. You just give us some duct tape, maybe a little bit of glue. We'll probably be able to put it back together for you. Duct tape fixes everything except trauma. So again, it's the pain, right? And it didn't have a witness, and you want people to understand where you're coming from. How do we get rid of this trauma? I wish I had an answer. Because if so, mine would be gone. Now, it is not even close to how bad it used to be. Right? I was on Ativan for a year and a half, 2 years, because of my PTSD. I had to be very careful about that. You want to know why? Because I love Ativan. That's an opiate. It was prescribed, and I took it as prescribed. I did. I followed the direction. There was a part of me that didn't want to. I'll admit it. Right. So Angel says ACA helped a little bit. Yeah, ACA tends to dig towards the trauma. Here's the hard part. And don't get me wrong, because ACA is a great program. It stands for Adult Children of Alcoholics. Right. Um, if you bring up the trauma and you help somebody bring that up, you better have a solution. Or what you have is somebody with fresh trauma. That's the part about ACA that I get a little weird about. What do they do to, and I've read through the book. There's no answers in it that I didn't already know. I have found that the best that I can do, will my trauma ever go away? I don't know. Okay. Now, it used to be that I had very bad nightmares every night. And I used to sleep 14 to 16 hours a day. Now I sleep about 8 to 10. Every now and again, I do have nightmares. But my nightmares before, it was always the same. Okay. And it was continuous. If I woke up on Tuesday and in my dream I had $5.26, I had that $5.26 when I would start continuing that dream. I lived in Denver, and there were like 4 or 5 different places that I would crash, most of them in very, very bad places. Somehow I was always back in high school. See, this is trauma. And what happens is then somebody will start to spread these rumors, and everywhere I go, everybody hates me. No, Dion, you can't stay here because you're a fucking piece of shit. And then I get mad and I get violent and I kill the people in my family. That's how it used to be. It was, and I used to wake up ready to fight because I thought that it was going on right now. Those have pretty much gone away. It was horrible. Thankfully, I could fly. That was the one thing. But I was always drunk flying. Right. I got an FUI, flying under the influence. Or I was Spider-Man. I could either fly or I could swing because I was Spider-Man. Always. Right? So if you dig a little bit, why is Dion trying to be the superhero? Because I needed the strength to beat the crap out of these people. Right? And actually, if I would pick any, it'd be actually the Punishers who I would prefer to be in those dreams. I love the Punisher. He's an anti-hero. I understand why he does what he does. I don't agree with it. I don't know. In my dreams, I guess I do. Right? Now, sometimes that would happen while I was awake. Yeah. It would happen while I was awake. I would start shaking really, really bad. My whole body just it was like I was on a chair that shook, and my whole body would just start shaking. My blood pressure would go really high, and my heart level would be at such a dangerous level, they had to give me Ativan. That's trauma. That's trauma. And then they red flagged me for being a pill seeker when really I was just asking for help, but they didn't have resources for me, so they couldn't help me. So what has helped me with that? Therapy, God, EMDR worked really, really well for me. I'm going to do that again this Tuesday. I'm doing that around self-worth because we kind of figured out something going on with Dion and how Dion sees himself and how I'm, and my own worth and what I can do in this world. Okay. That was the answer. Self-esteem. Knowing that if somebody did come up to me and do that again, like that man did, that I would be able to protect myself. It was a different kind of courage. It was a courage that would need danger. Right? A good example of that is this. When I was 14, that man pushed me. I pushed him back. And he fell on the ground. He bit the dirt. Because by 14, 15, I was pretty strong. I was doing nothing but pulling weeds and I was a pretty tough kid for my age. And he never touched me again. See, and then in my brain, I'm like, oh, all I have to do is just knock the motherfucker out. And then that's what I started to become. And it wasn't the right answer. It just doubled down on the trauma. So now I look back, I'm like, man, I had this relationship and that relationship. They didn't go very well. I wonder if I created trauma within these people. What about my wife? What about my kids? See? It's kind of hard. So this is usually the indicator, not always. Resentment is I won't let go. I refuse. I'm not going to let go of this. I'm not going to let it go. Where trauma is I can't let it go yet. With time. It's really hard. I'm going to speak for myself on this. It's really hard for me to forgive someone who intentionally went out of their way to hurt me. It's really hard for me to forgive that. Okay? But I need to learn how to do better at it. I doubt that I'll ever be 100%, but just like I talked about with what happened this week, see how each day got shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, if I would have done what I wanted to do, no, it'd still be going on. It would still be happening. I would have just made it in because what I was hurt, and hurt can turn into resentment. There was a fear in there, and that fear can turn into resentment. On day one, it was a resentment, so I needed to work through it. I had to work through it. It was tied to the trauma. Ooh, right? So I don't need to worry about what needs to be changed in other people in the world around me as what I need to change in myself. It has got to start with me. It has to start with me. There's power in that. Okay. So you need to make the decision. The first thing that I had to do is make the decision. I am going to intentionally heal. No. And the key is try not to create new resentments while you're going through this, right? So resentment fades with perspective. Trauma heals with compassion, an understanding ear. Maybe somebody who's been there. Right? Now, the key is not to talk about it with this person and that person and that person and that person. No, we need to talk to somebody that is solution oriented, like a therapist, a counselor, somebody with a servant's heart who would like to be there for you and help out. Right? That's why my PTSD is getting better, because I have compassionate people in my life. 3 of them are here right now. There's 4 people here, but I don't know who the 4th person is, and I don't want to assume. Who else? And my wife. My kids care what happened to me now. My therapist gives a fuck what happens to me. And, a lot of compassion there. A lot of compassion. And it's helped a lot. So to review on this, right? A resentment is not willing to let go. So we're adding to it. God, I'm not doing a very good job of describing that. I'm doing my best. It's a hard thing to talk about, right? Here we go. This is a great way to put it. So inventory helps me see my part. So doing the 4th and 5th step, right? It helps me see my part so that I don't do that again and create more havoc in somebody else's life, right? So it's therapy that helps me heal my heart. And I need that, right? I watched this thing earlier, and he was talking about the 4 people that you need to forgive. That's how he started out. And he said the first people that you need to forgive is your parents. I wanted to strangle the motherfucker because he was right. Okay. One of my parents I've forgiven. The other one, how do I go about forgiving them? It's just, there's a part of me that doesn't want to forgive them. I want to confront them. Even in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can write them a letter saying that I forgive them. But in my head, this is how it goes. I forgive you for beating me. I forgive you for being an asswipe. I forget. See, it's not even working. So I need direction. I need help from others. What are some other things that are good for it? Breathing exercises are good for it. Go out and do something. Do something that distracts your mind. Go do maybe something challenging, right? Or just do something different. I found that is a great answer. Go for a walk. Breathing's a great way to do it. And then confront it. Start to why it. Okay? Remind yourself it is not happening right now. It's not happening right now. It's okay, Dion. Because what happens, and it happens less to me now, right? Because I've been creating these new synapses by going to therapy and doing EMDR. Okay? So, and there's still sometimes where something will happen and will trigger me, and I will be back at that moment. I will feel the same exact way that I did. Okay. Did you know that your first drink and how good you felt was also trauma? It is, it's trauma. If you were chasing something, the good old days, right? We talked about silver bars and mocktails, chasing the good old days. What is it? It's trauma. You're living in the past, good or bad, trauma. It's because it makes you feel good. But that's not a feel good that's going to linger. Oh, I had a lot of fun. Fun's over. What'd you take away? Did you take God with you? Did you take some more information? What'd you take away? Right? These are things I forget about. So some things aren't about forgiveness. No, they're about your freedom. See? So when I said, well, do I forgive them or is it about freedom? Am I going to accomplish freedom without forgiveness? There has to be a certain level of forgiveness. So this is what I found, because it does include forgiveness, but it doesn't mean the other person, because there's a part of you that's upset with yourself. So forgive yourself for allowing that to happen. I know it sounds contradictory, but it works. That's how I became responsible for my triggers. I had to utilize that. Did they do it? Yes, they did. But now that I've forgiven myself for that, I can at least move on. I can at least start to move on for myself. I don't know if I'll ever forgive the guy, but I don't get to make his life worse out of vengeance either, right? The program and trauma, uh, the program and trauma work aren't enemies; they are teammates. And if you work this program right, your therapist is going to love AA. They'll be like, man, you come down here, you want to get down to causes and conditions. You're talking about stuff people hardly ever get to. These are the things that you will hear. It actually works. Okay. And if you're looking for therapy, can't find a good therapist, let me know. I'll help you find one. I'm really good at it. I'm great at matchmaking. So, all right. So, let's be careful on deeming whether somebody has a resentment when we don't know about their trauma. Just remember that. All right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and keep on trudging.